Rob Edwards is reportedly set to become the next Wolves manager, agreeing a 3.5-year deal with the Premier League club. This will mean he will leave Middlesbrough probably as of immediate effect. He already had been removed from his duties as manager with their win over Birmingham City in the Saturday afternoon match. Now, he leaves the club in second place, which is kind of questionable considering that Wolves are currently rock bottom of the Premier League and looking likely to return to the Championship, while Middlesbrough are battling their way for promotion. It was inconceivable at the beginning of the season that Middlesbrough would do this. However, he and his team have done very well in getting them in that position. Now, the question now is, who will be the next Middlesbrough manager? There are quite a few options who could be. The favourite at the minute is Carlos Corberán, who's in charge of Valencia. Now, the issue is he did perform very well as West Brom manager, and that earned him the role of the Valencia manager. And it was in kind of testing circumstances at West Brom. Lack of finance, lack of kind of resources that he had there, and he got them to the playoffs, near the playoffs, relatively consistently during their time. He did very well as the Baggies boss. He did earn his move to Valencia, but things aren't going well there either in La Liga. They're currently in the relegation zone at the time of recording. They could move out with a win over Real Betis. However, they are struggling, and that is because the club as a whole, again, lack of resources, bit of a struggle at the minute, and he's fighting that. He might want to move to Middlesbrough to get some resource, to get some back in, and you never know, he could help them get promoted. However, with a track record, is he the man that can lead them? I don't know. The other options include Gary O'Neill rejected the Wolves position before it being offered to Rob Edwards. This kind of shows the kind of interest in him. Now, I think he would take the Middlesbrough job if approached. I think it's a perfect role for him to take and get it back into football. He may have wanted a Premier League role, but Middlesbrough is close to the Premier League role as he's going to get at this minute in time. Another option is Tony Mowbray, a former Middlesbrough manager. Now, his time in charge of Middlesbrough was not great. His best finish was 7th in the 3 seasons that he was there, or just under 3 seasons that he was there. He struggled in his 3rd season and ended up getting sacked. Now, obviously the ambition for him was to return in the Premier League, and he failed on that. Whether he returns to take over as boss of Middlesbrough is questionable. As much as he's loved by many clubs throughout England and Scotland, it is unlikely he will make a return to management at Middlesbrough, despite him being liked, as I say. The other thing is he has impressed, but he still has failed to get promotion, which is essentially what Middlesbrough want at this minute in time. Another option, now, it's a bit inconceivable, but it may be one that many fans would want, just his ties with the club, no other reason really, is Gareth Southgate. Now, he did impress in England. At Middlesbrough, obviously he got them relegated first time around 2009 season, which has obviously led to their kind of yo-yoing to an extent. Well, not really to an extent. They have struggled to get back into the Premier League since that relegation, but they have done it on a couple of occasions. But Gareth Southgate has went away. He's proven that he can get to Championship finals with England. Not being successful, obviously, but it might be a nice era for him to come, return, and show what he can do in the Premier League as a manager who has learnt from his experiences in charge of a national team. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But it'd be interesting to see, especially that team. Like, I feel that the squad he has there, that Rob Edwards had, could be very useful to Gareth Southgate's setup, and he might find joy in it. The other and final option would be Steven Gerrard. Now, do I think Steven Gerrard will get the role? No. Do I think he's good for the role? No. Do I think he should test himself by putting himself forward for the role? Yes. I think that Steven Gerrard, having been linked to the Rangers job and turning it down and wanting to test himself and kind of impress his manager, this is the perfect chance. Frank Lampard is doing it at Coventry. He dropped down a division, obviously, from Everton after things didn't go so well at Everton or Chelsea. He did do okay at Derby County, but he is now showing again, look, give him time to build, give him time and the resources. Frank Lampard can be a decent manager. And we'll see if he gets promoted with Coventry, whether he can do it in the Premier League. This is the perfect time for Gerrard to do the exact same thing. He'll get back in for Middlesbrough. He'll be able to test himself, show himself where he's a good manager. He won one league with Rangers. He has subsequently failed at Aston Villa and failed in Saudi Arabia with Al Ahly. This is his time to test himself. Do I think he'll get the job? No. I personally think that Gary O'Neill is the best choice from these options. I think he should be given this role. I think he would get them promoted. But those are just some of my thoughts regarding those managers. What do you think? Do you think that Gary O'Neill will be the next manager of Middlesbrough? Do you think he'll be the perfect manager for Middlesbrough? Who would you rather have come in, if not him? And what do you think of Rob Edwards? Do you think that after less than 6 months that he should be making this move to Wolves? Despite his ties, yes, but he was given a chance back in management after a poor season with Luton. Do you think that he has done Middlesbrough dirty by doing this, or do you have an alternative view? Look, I've been Brendan McGilligan. Thank you very much for listening, and look forward to seeing your comments.